Hi guys, so today's video is gonna be a little bit different. As you can see from the title, it's gonna be about my pregnancy complication. I suffered this when I was 12 weeks or 13 weeks, something like that. So it was quite early, although I was in my second trimester, just beginning the second trimester actually. And this happened one day after my birthday, the day we also found the gender of the baby. If you didn't see that vlog, I'll link it up here for you to check it out. But before I'm jumping into today's video, I want to tell you that this video is going to include a lot of personal information, a lot of medical details, stuff that I believe it's normal to talk about, and stuff that can really help some people like myself when I went through this and I didn't find much information about this. So I'm doing this video because I believe it can be very helpful and reassuring and calming for people who are going through this, and also because it's something way normal, way more common that you could think of. So a lot of people are suffering from subchorionic hematomas or other kind of hematomas during pregnancy, and I didn't hear about this until I had it. So I just want to inform you that it is common and it is a possibility. It's something that can happen during pregnancy. If you're not comfortable with me sharing this here on YouTube, it's fine. We just have different views. We can agree to disagree and simply don't watch this video. I have some notes here. Look how pretty this is. It looks like Jane Austen's notebook, right? I love it. I was very excited and very, I don't know, I wanted to make this video and I didn't want at the same time. I wanted it because I want to share what's going on, and I want to share this with you because I believe it can be very helpful for some people. But at the same time, I didn't want because I don't know yet the outcome of it. I'll only find out after baby is born. So it's still ongoing process with this condition, but I am comfortable enough to give you updates. If I'm comfortable enough to make this controversial video, I'm comfortable enough to just give you any updates of what's going on, of what will happen in the future. So let's begin with the story of my subchorionic hematoma. First of all, I want you to know that I had no idea. I never heard of this before. I just didn't know what was going on at the time. So I was 12 or 13 weeks pregnant, and it was just the day after my birthday. Everything was so nice. I was so excited, so relaxed. Everything turned out exactly how I wanted. We were able to find the gender of the baby on my birthday, so I was just very excited for everything. So I wasn't in a stressed period. I wasn't anxious or anything when this happened. It happened on the 17th of October. I was taking a bath. It was Saturday and it was around 10 p.m. So during pregnancy, you're not allowed to take hot baths, like really hot baths that make you sweat. So just warm water. So that's how I was having my bath. Everything was normal, and as I was laying in the bath, I was super relaxed. I felt a little bit of pain, like kind of period pains in my belly, but it was so light, like nothing compared to actual real period pains when you have to take some medicine to calm you down. But it was a bit weird because I didn't have that before. So I was like, that's probably normal because, you know, all things moving around, you might feel a bit of discomfort sometimes. So I didn't pay attention to that, but as I got out of the bath, I went to pee, and when I wiped, I saw this kind of like very light brown, I don't know what it was, on the toilet paper as I wiped. So it was like a dark pee. It was nothing abnormal. I told Paul as well. I was like, I just wiped and the color seemed a bit weird. And he was like, probably that's normal in the pregnancy because so many weird things happen to your body during pregnancy that you don't know anymore what's normal and what's not normal. So all good. I went, I was out of the bath. I did all my nighttime routine, and then we were in bed watching a movie. And during the movie, I went peeing again. I just looked after I wiped just to make sure everything was okay, and when I wiped, I saw red, like light red. It was nothing like the period blood. It was like you would cut your arm and put paper on it and you had like this red bright blood. I was kind of panicking in that time, especially because I remember vividly that when we confirmed the pregnancy, my doctor told me what's normal in the pregnancy and what's not normal, and the first thing she said is not normal is bleeding. So any kind of bleed during pregnancy was not normal. But I was not extremely, I was not having a panic attack, but I was a little bit panicking, starting to cry. And I told Paul, and then he said just call the doctor straight away. She told me that if something happens at any time to call her. So I quickly looked for her number and called her, and she said, this is I'm very sure this is from the placenta, so you don't need to be this panicked, just go to the hospital immediately. I mean, she was nice, but go to the hospital immediately is not very reassuring, is it? So I was a bit conflicted because a week before she just checked me to do the double test. That's a test when they look at the baby to see if they have Down syndrome and Edwards syndrome and stuff like that. So she checked everything a week before and everything was fine. So I couldn't imagine that from a week I could miscarried, but obviously that's the first thing you think about, right? But she told me to go to the hospital immediately, and she was very nice because she answered her phone at 11 p.m. on a Saturday straight away, and she tried to reassure me that it can be just from the placenta, but still you need to go to the hospital right away so they can treat you and give you medicine to stop the bleeding. So 3 minutes we were in the car and going to the hospital. The clinic I'm using is Regina Maria. It's a private clinic, and the same clinic has a hospital in our city as well. So she said go to that hospital immediately because they have an OB on guard at all times. So we left, and I was kind of like panicking, low-key panicking in the car because I was bleeding, but I didn't feel like it was much blood. So I just as I wiped, so it wasn't like a period when it goes out of you. It was just when I wiped I saw the blood, if that makes sense. So I was shaking uncontrollably, but I was just holding it together somehow, you know. We were so lucky because it was 11 p.m. on a Saturday, so there was no traffic. So we got to the hospital within 10 minutes, and usually we can get to that area of the city which is opposite from where we live within like 30 minutes, 45 minutes if it's traffic. But because it was no traffic, all the lights were green, we were able to get there within 10 minutes. So that was very, very good. But Paul parked the car in front of the hospital, and as I got out, I was standing, and within a second from me standing, that was the most horrible moment of my life. I felt a gush, like the way you turn on a faucet at the sink, or not even the faucet, like the whole shower. That's how I felt, that it was going out of me, and that's the moment where I had a panic attack. So it was nothing similar to period, nothing at all. It was, I don't know if a gunshot felt like that, but it was as someone would shot me and I immediately starting to bleed, and I felt it within 2 seconds from me getting up. The blood was running at my ankles. So can you imagine how that feels? I was 100% sure the baby is gone. And it was so scary. Obviously I was crying. Paul was very calm. I don't know how he managed to look that calm, because inside he wasn't, because even the guardian panicked. Can you imagine? Like he's he's working at the hospital. Of course, he sees crazy stuff every day. But you know, it's this trial tent for COVID. So we had to complete a form, and he was supposed to take our temperature before letting us in the hospital. But I know how to complete that form because every time I'm going to Regina Maria, I have to complete the same form. So I knew exactly what I had to do, and I quickly signed it, and Paul completed every detail. But he was like, it's fine, just go inside. Like he didn't even wanted to take us our temperature because he saw I was bleeding there. Like, I don't know if there was bleed on the stairs as I was walking to the hospital, but my jeans were all wet and there was all blood. So I went inside, and then the nurse took me in one of the rooms for OB, and she called the OB that was on guard. And then within 3 minutes, she was there. So I was so relieved, because I know you can wait a long period of time for someone to come, but she came straight away. They obviously took my temperature after, make sure everything was fine, and I completed all the COVID things and signed all the papers and stuff because they're very good with that. But right then, everyone was panicked because I was losing blood as I walked down the corridor. And the strangest thing is that I had zero pain, like nothing, not even a cramp, or I don't know, you know, when you're hurt and you're losing blood, it hurts. I don't know if it was the adrenaline as well, but no pain at all during all of my hematoma story. I had zero pain. That was the weirdest thing, because the only thing you could feel, it was the blood coming out. And I hate that feeling. I don't want to ever in my life to feel that. I don't want any of you to feel that, but unfortunately it can happen. So I was on the table. They made me lie down, because when you are laid down, you obviously don't lose as much blood. And then the first thing she did, she said, you need to calm down, because if you're not calm down, I cannot check you. So I had to calm down and stop shaking. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I did. And she first of all did a vaginal check, just to see if the coal, I don't know, the canal where the baby comes from is closed, because that can be open or can be closed. First she checked that. She said it's closed, so it's all good, so calm down, lady. And then she did a vaginal ultrasound to see the placenta and everything. That's how you see the baby when he's too little. So the one on the tummy, the ultrasound on the tummy, happens only, I think, after a few good weeks of pregnancy, 10, 11. That's when the baby is big enough so you can see him on the tummy, but until then you do it vaginally. So first she checked me vaginally, and that's how she saw the placenta and everything, and she said the bleeding is from the placenta. You have a hematoma, it's 1 centimeter. Can you believe that? Like, from a hematoma this big to have that much bleeding? But she said you have a hematoma, that's normal, and it's very small, it's just 1 centimeters. And now we're gonna check the baby to see if he's fine. By this time I was already more calm, because she told me that the thing was closed, so it was not a sign of miscarriage, and the blood was coming indeed from the placenta and not because I was suffering a miscarriage. So then she checked the baby, and she said, look, the baby's fine, he's kicking. She showed me the screen, and I was like, oh, thank God. And then was the moment when I finally was able to calm down and my panic attack was over. And then she said, you have a very full bladder, please go pee and then come back so we can just look at the baby more. So I went peeing outside. They gave me everything that I need, slippers, like a pair of undies, and I went on the corridor, and Paul was there. They let Paul stay on the corridor, but usually you're not allowed in the hospital. So they were very nice, probably because it was nighttime as well on a Saturday, so there was no one there except Paul. And I said to him quickly, it's all good, I'm not having a miscarriage. I went peeing, and then when I went back, you could really see the baby very well. He was very tiny, but he was alive, he was still there, he was moving, and everything apparently was from the placenta. We didn't know at that time why it happened, and I asked the doctor, why did this happen to me? So she said, maybe it can be from the cold, maybe it can be because you were a bit stressed on your birthday to make sure everything was fine, maybe you lift something heavy, but she wasn't able to give me an answer. She gave me a number of possibilities, and everything was related to something that I could have done, and that was scary. Because I didn't feel like I did anything wrong, anything abnormal, and my doctor specifically told me at the beginning of the pregnancy that you should continue your normal life during pregnancy. You shouldn't do anything that's different. So I was not working out as much, and I believed I took care of myself. You could see the previous video I did of my first trimester update, and I told you everything that was going through during my first trimester, but overall everything was normal. After we made sure everything was fine, she gave me so many pictures of the baby, and said you need to go to a checkup after at least a week and a half with a doctor and show her everything that I'm giving to you. And meanwhile, she put me on medicine, on progesterone. And after that, she was very sweet. She went and updated Paul directly. So she didn't just let me tell him what was going on. She went with the nurse to him and explained everything she explained to me to him. And that was, I believe that was so nice, because I was so emotional, so panicked, still trying to recover from everything. I was a mess. So I was very grateful because she told Paul everything, and she was so nice about it, and she told him to take care of me and that I was not allowed to do any effort, and then I should be in bed rest for at least a few days until the bleeding stops with the medicine. So we went home. For a week I was doing nothing. I was still very scared. It was a very hard period for me, and that's when I also missed from social media, YouTube and everything, but also looked online for so many information about hematomas and what can happen, why this can happen. And the many resources I found said that this happens because of age. So if you're more advanced in age and you're pregnant, this can happen. It can happen if you have diabetes, if you do IVF, if you are at your second pregnancy, or if, I can't remember what was the other one. Oh, it was if you had surgery or something, some intervention before in your uterus area. And nothing was obviously describing me, because I was having none of these things happen to me, and it just didn't make sense. I didn't understand, and that was the most complicated thing, because I didn't know why this happened to me, and if it was something that I did and what I should stop doing so I won't get this again. But I researched a lot and I read a lot of articles, and many women said they had big subchorionic hematomas, like the size of 10 centimeters, a really big one that would push the baby around, that would just mess up with the entire space that the baby has there, so he cannot develop properly, and they still had a healthy baby after all. So after a week and a half, I went to my doctor. I did message her on WhatsApp all the time because she wanted to know the updates. I sent her like the pictures on WhatsApp. I told her what medicine I'm on. She put me on 3 a day because I was still bleeding. So the bleeding didn't stop, but it was manageable. It was like a very high flow period bleed. It wasn't like a gush, gunshot, something like that. The bleeding was different. It was very darkish blood, so it looked like old blood. My doctor said that if the bleeding is brown, it's a good sign, because that means it's old blood that eliminates from the body. It's not new one, like bright red blood like you would cut yourself. But I was still bleeding after a week and a half when I went seeing her, and I actually showed her like how my blood looks, because I was continuously bleeding, and she said, yeah, that's fine, that's old blood. Just let me know when you have gushes of red blood like the first time, because that's when you need to go to the hospital again. But that didn't happen. I did had some gushes of brown blood, so it was like me sitting up and feeling like, so yeah, that happened for a long period of time. I am now 20 weeks pregnant, like I told you, and I'm 3 weeks bleeding free, so that's very good. That makes me very excited. But obviously from week 12 until week 16, 17, I was bleeding constantly all the time. I never used this many pads in my life. But I think a few weeks ago, so maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I went to another appointment, and she said my placenta is inserted very, very low, and it was covering the cervix. I think that's how that tube is called, which means the baby could not go out. So usually the placenta should be on one side or on the other side or up, and the baby is here. My placenta was here, covering everything. So that was the reason why I was having these hematomas in the beginning, because that's where my placenta decided to insert itself. So that's normal. The placenta can insert anywhere around the uterus, but mine decided to go really, really low. And that's putting a lot of pressure on my bladder, on everything down there actually. And it's a bit uncomfortable, but because I am 3 weeks bleeding free, I hope that my placenta decided to go up, because as the uterus expands, as the baby grows, the placenta is gonna move. So she said in most of the cases the placenta will move upwards in one side or the other, and it won't cover the cervix anymore, and everything will be normal. If it doesn't go up, that means it's a condition called placenta previa, and you would just need a C-section, because obviously there's no way baby can go out, so you'll need a C-section. It's a very light complication. It's nothing that can harm your baby, so I hope that will be my case as well. I'm very excited to see if the placenta moved up, because I'm bleeding free, so it should go up. But everything else is fine. I feel the baby kicking, so I know he's okay. So this is the update. Now I feel really good. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So when I went to my doctor, she told me it was nothing that I could have done to cause the hematoma forming and the bleeding. So it was nothing like the cold, me exercising, or just organizing stuff for my birthday. I was not the reason why this hematoma formed. It was simply because of how my placenta inserted itself. So it was nothing you can control, and it can happen to anyone. You can't control where your placenta forms, right? So that was very, very calming, and she said you keep doing whatever you did before getting pregnant, except having sex, because you can't have sex while you're bleeding. But other than that, she said you can work out, you can do whatever you want. I did see a lot of doctors also recommended more bed rest, pelvic rest, stuff like that, but that depends on every case. So my doctor assured me that in my case it was all good, and the bleeding was coming from the way placenta inserted itself, and it was nothing I could do to help it move or to stop the bleeding. It was just me taking my medication, and that's it. Now I am on 2 progesterone pills a day. Probably we are going to move it to 1 by mid of my 3rd trimester, but she said progesterone is safe to take until week 35. I'm all good with that. The only thing that makes me very uncomfortable is peeing, because it's so low. It pushes my bladder a lot, and I need to pee every 10 minutes. But baby's healthy. I know it was a little bit of a longer video, but I hope it can help you if you're going through this, and also if you are going to be pregnant in the future and it happens for you to have a bleed. Obviously call your doctor or go to hospital immediately, but don't panic. Don't think you're having a miscarriage straight away, because there can be many other reasons. If you're going through this and you want any specific information or to ask me some questions, please give me a message on Instagram. I would love to talk to you. But if you want more videos like this, if you want to know an update, please let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video so I can make more videos like this. I love you guys, and I cannot wait to see you soon. Bye!